Hello and welcome to another edition of Capital Area Chats. I'm your host, Paul Brogan, and we're about all things in the greater Concord region. The people, the places, the things that make this an extraordinary place to live, to work, and to play. Today I have two guests with me. The first time they've been on the show, and I'm sure it won't be the last. I am happy to introduce two individuals who are instrumental in bringing a new business to the Concord area. I want to make sure I get it correct, the title, Jonathan Hutchins here. And Jonathan is the owner and founder of William & Sons Coffee. And next to him is Jed Nottingham, and he is a barista at William & Sons. And they are opening an exciting new location here in Concord at 72. Is it still A?
You know what? It's 72A.
Okay.
But on Google, if you go searching, it's 72 Washington Street.
That's what I wanted to get it right today.
Yeah, right.
And so, it is 72.
Yeah, we're trying to change that with Google because the address is 72A with the city.
Okay.
But if you give people the wrong address, it takes them to the house next door.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
And they would
Which
not
it's the old
appreciate
market.
that.
You can't miss it. It's like a big brown building. Yeah.
Right across the street from Checkmate.
Yeah.
And it's in the former, once upon a time, Mr. Grocer. It was also the Food Basket.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was young, it was called Chris's Store because Chris Lilios was the owner. And so it's been there for quite a few years.
Right, yeah.
But I think this new incarnation is probably going to be one of the most exciting in a long, long time because you currently have a place in Manchester on the west side on Amory Street.
Amory Street, yep.
And you are now, spreading your wings and coming to the capital city.
Yes.
So if you could tell me first, Jonathan, what made you decide to give Concord a try?
Yeah, well, we were in Manchester. We've been there now for about a year and a half now. And right now I currently live in Loudoun, and we love Concord. We love the capital, and we have so many friends, so many contacts, family through the years here. I have family here. And a lot of people, while we were in Manchester, were asking us, wow, I wish you had a spot in Concord we could go to. But as I looked at Concord, there was already so many coffee shops in Concord. I'm like, why interrupt? Our mission in business is to serve the community and not to be an interruption to other businesses.
Yes.
But as I studied Concord more, I looked at like 99% of the coffee shops, we're in the specialty coffee market. So it's a little different than your normal like drive-through, fast-paced coffee shop. We're like slow coffee. So 99% of the specialty coffee shops we're serving, in my opinion, about 10% of the population because going to downtown, you live and work down there. There's a large group of people that live and work downtown, but you have to find parking, you have to pay for parking, and when you're trying to get your coffee, to get parking and everything to walk in, maybe you have kids in the car or whatever, it's not always convenient. So I thought, you know what, why not look for something in Concord? And I've been looking for a long time. And I saw this building that was vacant, for a year or two, and I kept on thinking, I'm like, what's going to happen there? There was a sign on the door that said the future home of this at Polly's restaurant, but it never realized.
Happened.
So one day, it was in September, I looked up on the city tax records. I didn't know who the owner was, found the owners, called them, and they called me back right away and said, this is canny because we were thinking today about this, putting it back on the market. Are you really interested? And I don't think Concord, there's not many places in the Concord communities, like the community areas, the neighborhoods, to put a coffee shop. Everything's already taken. It's residential. And so on the West End, and do we call it the West End? Or the west side of, or do we call it, what do we call the
South End is down, where we are now, where the place is. Oh, that's
on Washington Street.
Yeah, just the Whites Park area.
Whites Park area, I've kind of called it the West Side or the West End, but I bet you got to be careful you don't.
Because we have a West Concord, but that's further
that's not
out. So I think if you say Whites Park area, everybody knows where that is.
Washington Street, So just because this opportunity opened, that's the only reason why we even could even think of opening in Concord. And it definitely did not want to do the downtown. I was looking in Pennacook because Pennacook is another place where there's a huge demand, I think, for a community, like a third space coffee shop.
Yes.
And I think New England, there's a lot of New England towns, not only in New Hampshire, but Vermont and also Massachusetts, where there's a return now to local, a need for a local coffee shop. I think COVID kind of spurned that for us as well.
Exactly.
And people work at home, and they're liking to be closer to their coffee shop. And of course, the Washington Street space will have a lot of space for people to come and work and sit on their computer. A lot of seating and open space there for it's a big building. So
And you're near the law school too.
near the law school, they've already reached out to us and wanting to use the space and like, when are you going to open? When are you going to? People are knocking down the door ready to
That's great.
see when we're going to open. So yeah,
That must be very gratifying.
it was, yeah.
To be that welcome.
It's been, we've had a really good experience with Concord already, and before we've been opening with the city, very receptive, like really helpful. The fire department, the fire chief, all the city offices, the health department already has come out, helped us really. What do we need to open? What is it going to look like? And just kind of open their hearts to us. I felt that, and I've worked in other cities, not only here in the U.S. but around the world. And I've been really well received by the departments as a small business owner, and that's been a really gratifying experience as well already. And we've just been a couple months, and really thankful too for Keystone. The owners have been super helpful as well, and just building things out, helping us get this open. They've been just as excited as us to get this open, and they've really been working nonstop, helping us in the build out. So we're really thankful. We have a lot to be thankful for. Hopefully we can open for Thanksgiving.
Wouldn't that be
a
nice
wonderful,
to be real thankful?
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Yes.
Well, I'll be there at the opening, so.
All right,
And
all
I
right.
will bring everyone I know and have them make sure to come by too.
Well, thank you, Paul. We met you on the sidewalk right out front.
Exactly.
We were painting
I
there.
was being
It's like-
a typically nosy person.
Yeah, right.
Just what's going on? I need to know.
Right.
I think a lot of people are just protective about their neighborhoods, and they don't want something coming in that's going to upset everybody's life.
And
your enthusiasm was just so infectious about it. No, seriously, it was. You are the best salesperson for the company because you have such a passion for it, and you managed to express that.
Well, we've had really good experiences in communities. The west side of Manchester has been amazing. I mean, we have so many friends and contacts there. The city itself has helped, and it's been amazing on the west side of that experience. And then the community, the people that you meet.
Yes.
And I mean, our schedule is busy now. I mean, if I had to, I think a lot of customers would have come up and help us paint and get this shop open just for fun, just for volunteer.
Exactly, just
That's
to
the kind
pitch
of
in. It's still that kind of a community
Yeah.
in New Hampshire where
is, yeah.
people, somebody needs our help.
They wanna
Let's
be a
get
part.
over there and do whatever we can. And they're not looking for anything in return.
No, they want to be
just-
investors or anything. They just want to help. They just love being a part of the community.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Absolutely.
So
Jed,
Yes.
you are new to the area.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
came from Michigan.
Yeah, I moved from Coldwater, Michigan. July 1st, I came, drove like the whole day. Took forever, but I got here. I've just always been interested in the brand and the coffee business, the coffee itself, specialty slow coffee. And John asked me it's like a couple years ago initially if I'd be interested, and finally happened, and I'm here and I'm learning a lot. It's got a lot to learn still, but it's so fun, it's intriguing, and I love the coffee. It's amazing.
Jed's amazing. He's learned so fast.
Really?
He's learned roasting and learned a lot of tasting. He has a natural palate for tasting coffee, and he's been huge.
It's a blast. I love it.
And Jed, for anyone who doesn't know, what exactly is a barista?
Yeah, a barista, I mean, it's like in the shop, it's almost like a theater. You're putting on almost like a show. Yeah, it's like all about the coffee at William & Sons especially. So a barista, they make lattes, slower coffee, pour overs. A barista, that's what a barista is to me and what I do as a barista.
So you see yourself doing this, then this has become really something important and special.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've always loved Uncle John's, his business, and it's So I think it's going to be a career and something that I still have a lot to learn, and I'm learning along the way. But coffee's amazing.
Yeah.
It makes all the difference in the world if you really love what you're doing.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's
It's
right.
not just a
Yeah.
job
Yep.
or something to pass the time.
We
have
have
a
fun.
joke. My business partner from Brazil, he'll go into the shop. And we do it here too. He's like, "All right, who's here working?" "Oh no, not me, not me." "Oh, I'm working, but if you're working, you're fired." It's like,
We have fun. We don't work.
yeah, right. We don't work around here. It's like, what is
Yeah.
it? Do what you love. And
Uh-huh.
You'll never work another day of your life. Something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. So
Mhm. Oh, that's great. I do want to mention before I forget, you have a website, and I would urge any viewers to check out the website only because the story on there is so inspiring. The story of William and Sons,
Yeah, yeah.
etc. It's www.WSONS Coffee, all one word, WSONSCOFFEE.com. And we'll flash that up at some point. But it's worth checking out because it's a great story, and it really gives a lot of detail to William and Sons that when you go there, you know a little bit more about why it's special and unique and isn't just like going through a drive-through. I won't mention the names of those places. I don't want to. But why it's a totally different experience, and why what you get for a product, when you get your coffee, it's more than just a beverage to gulp down quickly, but something to savor and to really treasure and enjoy.
yeah.
How did you first get into this? How many years ago was that?
Yeah, in 2011, I was living in Brazil. My wife and I, my wife's a teacher. She teaches at the Abbott Downey here in Concord School District. And so we were working in Brazil. I was working in nonprofit, and we were in a big city, a capital city of southern Brazil, very European-style city. And there was a demand for a coffee shop, coffee business, and coffee roasters, and specialty coffee. It was a big, at the time there was like a big boom in specialty craft beer. But in a country that produces coffee, like Brazil is a producing coffee, and they export, one of the biggest exporters of coffee in the world. And so, but there wasn't a lot of like people roasting and valuing their own product for their own people. And with the growth of the middle class in Brazil at the time, there was a demand for specialty coffee shops. And I saw that, and I began to have, in college I was a barista, and so I had barista experience. It's something that I loved, and I thought, why not explore this while I'm here in Brazil, more as a hobby, as an interest.
Yes.
And so I started, studying coffee. I read, when I go after something, I read everything about it. I read almost every book and literature I could about coffee. While I was in Brazil, I did an MBA in Brazil, in the country, and at a business school there, just to understand a little bit more about business, especially in Brazil. And I began to make contact with farmers, coffee farmers in Brazil, and that's not easy as well to buy coffee, to buy good coffee, to get the good coffee. It's about relationships with farmers. And that took some time too. But I began to learn roasting coffee, I began to learn tasting coffee. I became a member of the American Specialty Coffee Association, which is a network of coffee professionals around the world, and learned all I could from them, attended the conferences, and I was a part of the international expos and different things, even here in the United States, and just learned all I could about coffee until I felt like it was the moment to where I should start like selling coffee. But I started really small, like on a home roaster, and everyone started asking for my coffee. And a lot of like businessmen, different thing, could you give me like 20 bags of coffee for my Christmas presents at the end of the year? And so that's kind of how it all began. And the roaster that I had was so small, I just couldn't, produce anymore. And as the demand increased, I found a location in my neighborhood where I was living in Brazil. And it was an abandoned, beautiful home that we renovated and made it into a coffee roaster. And again, it was like a secret place that people had to discover, which was very big in Brazil at the time. It was more of a higher end and luxury market item at the time. And we were working in the luxury market. And people had to discover this. We had like a doorbell. It was like a speakeasy coffee roaster.
Really?
Yes. And it grew quite a bit, and that's kind of how I started. And that began to grow quite a bit in the country of Brazil. So as time went on, I got in a business partner, and brought him in, and I actually ended up after like 13 years leaving Brazil and went to China. And so I began to work in China because China, before COVID, was the new frontier for coffee professionals and for yeah, it was a very unique market. China has the Yunnan region, which has their own coffee farmers. They produce a lot of coffee as well, and it's a very good, very unique coffee. But China doesn't value at this time their own coffee as well. To me, just like Brazil didn't value their own coffee before when we started working in specialty coffee in Brazil. But I began to work there, learn Chinese, was working, my wife was teaching at an international school. I was learning all I could about business in China. And it was going well. I was writing for a magazine in China, a coffee culture magazine, and just networking and learning. And COVID hit the world. And
everything.
And so I was born in Auburn, Lewiston, Maine. I was from New England, met my wife here in Concord. We ended up coming back home during COVID and getting established here and back home. And we're like, what are we going to do now? We're going to continue like overseas or stay home. And it was this, right, I think, timing and everything for us. It was time to be home again with my wife's family. Mom getting older and being able to be with her. We've been overseas all these years. And so it was a wonderful time just to be home. And everyone was asking us, open a coffee shop. And I began to think about that. I didn't know if I really wanted to in like New England. And I was used to working in bigger cities. And how would that work? So I needed some time to absorb that and think through everything and plan properly and look at the business plan side of it. And that's how I began. I started roasting again. I got a larger roaster, and I have a facility right now on my property.
Oh, do you?
That allows me to roast with a health department certified license and everything. And I began to do consulting. Everyone was asking, can you help me open a coffee shop and different things. And a girl in Manchester asked me to help her on the west side open a coffee shop. And we did. We got her open, and her and her business partner had some difficulties, and it didn't work. And they ended up dissolving the shop, and we decided to continue it. And that's why we opened on the west side. It wasn't even a planned coffee shop. So
that was in May of last year.
May of last year. And so as we saw what was happening there, and just we love that revitalization again. And the west side of Manchester is a revitalization story. There's nothing over there.
Oh, it's so much so.
So that really motivates me, and it kind of like excites me, that kind of work. When I see it established, I'll be ready to do another one. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like why we saw that, why we started there on the west side. And it's been a success, from day one, and it continues to. People thought, are you going to close it? I go, no. Our customers were all worried that, coming to Concord, we were going to close that one. But but we'll continue, of course, there full bore. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That's kind of how it's the quick story how I got involved in coffee. And I love coffee. I love the farmers especially. I am not a farmer. And once you meet farmers and realize that if farmers stop producing food, we don't have food.
Exactly.
And it can happen really fast. And so I spent time on farms, picking coffee, working in the harvest, and spending time with farmers. And farmers are amazing people. And they're kind of like the founders of civilization. And without them, like Daniel Webster even said that. He has a quote that he talks about how farmers are the beginning of civilization. Where farming begins, all the other arts can follow. And I think that's important for us to realize that every generation needs to respect and honor those that produce our food. And coffee is it's a highly consumed commodity in the world. And our passion at Williams & Sons is sharing the face of the farmer. Because without the face of the farmer, your coffee is just a product.
Exactly.
And so I think behind that are a lot of literally blood, sweat, and tears, and hardships and difficulties. And that's what slows us down to produce this coffee, to brew it properly. We can't make coffee better. We can run it, we can roast it wrong, we can brew it wrong, but we can't make it better. You can add syrups and sugars and flavors, but the coffees that we buy, they have inherent goodness in themselves. And there's like coffee's a fruit. And so we look at coffee, you grind it, you roast it and grind it, and a light roast. And there is like all kinds of like blueberries. There can be raspberries. We have a coffee right now from Colombia that tastes like a Jolly Rancher.
Really?
Yeah, you would never put sugar or cream in it even.
No.
But we have some coffees that, you know, they're not good roasted light. They're better medium roast or a darker roast. Like our espresso is more of a medium roast. And it's, you have a lot of chocolate and nutty notes in the espresso. And, or if there's acidity in an espresso, we look for blueberry or something, a fruit that's well-rounded, not like citrus acidity, which is good in like some brewed coffees, but not in espresso. So anyway, coffee is a whole world. There's a lot of science involved and a lot of interesting things. But the farmer is an important figure to us, and we kind of like to call ourselves, like, as much as we can, we're farmer-centered, you know, and in our communication.
Yes.
And it's easy to get away from that because coffee has a lot of amazing things. Like community is very important. Like community is a part of it. You have to, you know, push into that part of the mission. Baristas, the latte art, you know, that's a beautiful thing. But we don't have any of that. We don't even have an opportunity to have a coffee shop if we don't have farmers.
Farmers.
Yeah.
And so making that connection, we want to keep that front and center. And on all our coffee bags, we put, you know, the face of the farmer. And we brought you some coffee today.
Oh.
And yeah, so we'll leave it with you, and you'll see that our bags have the face of the farmer. Now, we know most of these farmers we know, and we visited them and been with them. We try to meet, you know, somehow visiting them in their country. So
Nice. Jed, how do you like New England? Because of course it's totally different.
Yeah.
Than the Michigan.
Well, it's similar as far as like weather. You know, there's a lot of snow in Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah, but I like the ocean's an hour away, the mountains are an hour away. Concord really is a perfect location.
Just a
to
little
have
over
fun,
an hour
you
to
know?
Boston if you really
Yeah.
want a big
Oh,
city.
yeah.
And I mean, it really is an hour another way. You're in Vermont, and that's a totally different.
yeah,
Vermont would be a wonderful place someday for you to consider because there are so
many places.
amazing. They're really like a Norman Rockwell painting or something. The towns and the cities and everything. Do you have you been here for a winter yet?
No, not a winter.
Okay. Well,
but I've heard it's
very
similar.
mild, though.
Yeah.
They have gotten milder than what they used to be. I mean, we used to average in Concord between 100 and 120 inches of snow between November 1st and April 1st. But that hasn't been the case probably in about a dozen years.
Yeah.
So there's always the possibility. But the thing is, it's often gone within a day or two.
Yeah.
And Concord does an amazing job of clearing the roads and things. It really is. I mean, by the afternoon after a storm, you would hardly know anything that ever occurred. And snow shoveling is wonderful exercise.
Oh yeah.
hopefully we don't have so much snow that he wants to go snowboarding.
Oh
and
yeah.
not work at the shops.
Oh, okay.
Hope we have a really bad winter. Just kidding.
Well, at least
Oh,
we
man.
made it past Halloween. About 4 or 5 years ago, we had a Halloween storm, almost
wow.
2 feet of snow in October.
Wow.
The kids were out in their boots doing the trick-or-treating and
right.
things.
Yeah.
But,
That's wild.
But it is, I mean, it's a climate that's overall very conducive toward just feeling good about yourself and about what you're doing and all of that.
Yeah.
So. Now, how much experience did you have as a barista? Did you have any in
No,
Michigan?
none.
No.
None.
Okay.
Yeah. So coming out here, it's like
A
kind of
whole
started
new-
from the beginning. Yeah, but I'm learning a lot quick and fast, and it's so thrilling. You know, just learning even about the farmers, and John knows the farmers personally, a lot of them. So it's cool to like hear about them and like the coffee origin and all of that.
Well, it makes it so much more personal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like walking in and buying a thing of Maxwell House, or no offense to
Right.
Maxwell House, in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
grocery store.
It's different.
Right,
Though.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
I mean,
different.
there's a story behind the
There is.
coffee.
Yeah.
And
And a lot of those, it's really a lot like Maxwell. All those coffees have a story. And it's interesting. There's a book all about coffee, and it's an old one. It's like not even copyrighted anymore, and it tells you the whole history of all like the major coffee brands. And all of them begin as a little teeny roaster, and you know it's just like it's fun to see that I have a respect for almost every coffee shop. If you're roasting, I mean it's like all brands need to exist.
Yes.
And it's like they work together. Each one has their purpose and vision. And some
Exactly.
brands are bridges to your brand.
Mhm.
And that's just how it all works. So.
True. Now, will you have on your website an announcement about the date, the opening of the
Yes,
Concord
we will
location?
try to do that. There will be we use a Square site, so you can order online.
Okay.
There'll be like locations, so you can
Yes.
click and see the Washington Street location.
Okay.
We use Instagram quite a bit, and then Facebook, and we'll be announcing it there.
Okay.
There may be some other media articles that go out in the
Mhm.
local papers and whatnot. We'll see that will help the community know more about it. But you know, we're just patient. You know, over time, word of mouth is like
Yes.
the most powerful.
Most powerful.
Yeah, even in our business, people like in our coffee shops, that's just like that's our customers promote us more than anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Google as well, Google reviews. You can go
Yes.
there, and that has a lot of what customers are saying about our shop on the west side and
West side.
are there as well. So
Great. Well, the website address again, so that for anyone who would like to keep abreast of everything going on, it's www.wsonscoffee.com. That's WSonsCoffee, one word, .com. And you can keep a track of everything going on. And we are just about out of time, unfortunately. It flew when you're having fun.
Yeah.
It really does.
Who's
But
working
Jonathan
here?
Hutchins and Jed Nottingham, thank you
Thank
for sharing some of the story of William
Yeah.
and Sons. And I'll have you back sometime after the new year to find out how things are hopping and going and to have a further discussion, because by then I will have been there. And
that's right. Yeah,
That's
experience it firsthand.
exactly. So
Thank
but
you so much, Paul.
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
us.
And again, 72 Washington Street. We're dropping the A.
Okay, right. We'll talk
Okay.
to
It's right across from Checkmate, right before the law school in Whites Park, on the right-hand side, on the corner of Linden and Washington. And they'll be opening soon, and I hope that everyone will give them a try. Thank you both for being here, and thank you, Matt, behind the scenes, and thank you, Concord TV, and thank you for all of you who let me know that you enjoy these shows. It's a pleasure to do them, and this is Paul Brogan, your host, saying I'll see you on Capital Area Chats again soon. Thank you.